Hello, back to the show. This is Jacquelene Postmore. Welcome to Soulstar Radio. I'm joined today by a very special lady, and she has actually been helping me a lot. And you may have been noticing over the last few months there's been a bit of a change to the look of the Jacqueline, not the hair, but actually the weight, whether it's emotionally and physically, and possibly spiritually as well. But so it's been Catherine Turton-Lane from Heidi Rose Homeopathy, and she's actually available globally. So she can actually consult you by Skype. And that's who's been helping me with all of that. And so I'm actually joined today by the wonderful Catherine Turton-Lane. Hello, Catherine.
Hello. Oh, I can see myself now.
Welcome to the show. It's been interesting getting going today. We've had a couple of technical things, and we'll have you back on the show again next time, probably sit next to each other, and that way we can just, flow for today. Let's just talk about maybe, like what got you into homeopathy? What is homeopathy? Maybe we can talk about that.
Okay, so what brought me into homeopathy was that my son was pregnant, and I was always an alternative person, and I wasn't happy with some of the medication they were suggesting. And I started researching. Back in them days, there was no internet, so I actually read books and spoke to people that were in the alternative world, and came across an amazing practitioner, and it started from there. So from being a home practitioner, just using remedies for childhood issues, to then developing a huge passion for it and eventually studying. And homeopathy. Sorry?
How long did the study take?
The study, well, how long's a lifetime? Homeopathy is just not doing, a degree, a postgrad, a master's. It's a lifetime of actually learning, because you never stop learning. It's a continuous thing. So it's like a complete fluid of learning. There is more to using homeopathy. Even though you feel that you've got complete understanding of it, there's always more things to actually expand your horizon. So homeopaths are probably on the level of continuing to study and continuing to explore. 10 years. And like I said, it's a lifetime of study. It's never going to stop.
So when someone's coming from homeopathic treatment, so I've been treated by you, and that's been really helpful for me in not only losing weight, but also losing weight, the other weight. And so they're little white pills. How does that sort of work? Like if someone's never seen homeopathy before and they're coming for a treatment, what can they sort of expect, and what are those white ball things?
Those white ball things are labelled as a placebo pill, but they're not a placebo. But that's just the name of how they're a sugar pill, which you cannot gain weight from, because 300 pills equals 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar. So by using a sugar pill that is coated with homeopathic remedies, you put it under your tongue. And yes, it's going to taste sweet, because we don't normally put food under our tongue, so our taste buds are not jaded. You can do what they call a water dosing. So sometimes you might use one of those little pills and put it in a very small amount of water and drink it prior to bed if it was something to do with constipation, or you might do a teaspoon once a day or as prescribed, or it can be put in a diffuser. I like to use one called Divine Love, and Jacqueline has got a good experience of that. It allows, when you're working with clients, that they come back from their busy mind back into their heart space. And it's magic to actually have that going in the room when you're working with people, because it's bringing in a balance. And when we're out of our head, we're open to the hugest potential of who we are. And our heart opens, and the real person is there, not the mind-driven person.
Yes.
So you can put it in the bath, as Jacqueline knows that you can put it in the bath, and you can water dose.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And how I came to it was we were up at Wonga together, and I had a wonderful, exciting trip down the stairs because I was doing too much once, and I'd lost muscle tone, and I'm actually hypermobile for our watchers and listeners. I have hypermobility, so as a child, I used to put my dislocated shoulder back in, with fence, and I learned that off watching Lethal Weapon, which I don't recommend to anyone to actually use that sort of theory. But since using the homeopathics, I haven't actually, it's some wood. There's some wood, and touch the wood now. But we've been pretty good with not doing any more of those wonderful examples. But yeah, so putting it in the bath, and actually during that weekend, I was able to actually walk and stand and do all sorts of things on an ankle that technically probably shouldn't have been functioning. And that was through the homeopathics that we were using that actually did that. But it's been a lot of improvement since I found. What sort of comments do you get from other types of clients and, with their experiences with homeopathics?
Sorry, just say that again.
Yeah, so what sort of experiences do you generally find people have with the homeopathics? What sort of feedback do you generally get from people?
I get very positive feedback. People are surprised how effectively and how quickly they will feel their bodies to start to shift. One part of it is, the more open you are, the more willing to, I'm not a dictatorial person. I'm not asking you to do anything weird and wacky. It's just to follow the guidelines and take your remedies as suggested. The body will start to shift of its own accord. Some people see that in massive shifts. Some people see it in slightly smaller shifts, but I've never had a client who said that didn't work for me.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're very invested in control, then that's part of the game that has to be played out. But yeah, most people will start to see amazing results, feel better, have better energies, their blood sugars balance out, they sleep better. If they're heavily constipated, their bowels start working. If they've got heightened anxiety, you automatically get massive reductions in understanding of where the anxiety is coming from and what's causing it. Most people, majority of people do know what causes their anxiety, but there is a whole levels and whole stories to how did we get there.
Yeah.
And homeopaths are prescribe remedies from the language that is given back to us by the client. And the remedies are prescribed from your language. So they're tailored for the individual. It's not something like an allopathic medication that, you've got a pain, I'll give you this. It's balancing out not just the physical, but it's the emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of ourselves as well.
Yeah, so it's vibrationally shifting people.
And it is a vibrational energy.
Yeah, so
scientists.
And the thing I liked most was there were pills that you've given me that if I'm having a moment, I can use those in that moment, whereas a lot of the times when people are going to a healer week in, week out or month in, month out, and then they have a moment during a particular day and it's not their appointment time, this is helping to regulate it in that moment, isn't it?
It is, and it's designed to hold you so you don't fall over, yeah?
Yeah.
So you can take the next breath that, if it is anxiety and your prescription has got certain ones that you can take as needed to help you pop that bubble so you can just then take breath. Mm-hmm. And the panic and the anxiety and the distress that's based around the physical body diminishes, and it's a stop and pause. Yep. And then you suddenly realise, that's okay, I got through that. I didn't have a meltdown. I didn't fall apart. And that's a re-referencing for all the past effects that body has had under it, the pressure it's been put under. So it's about allowing the body to come back to its, the osteopaths call it tidal flow. It's about allowing the body to come back to its vital force. So when the body will allow itself to balance, it will relax and start healing itself.
So it's really about switching the body back on to heal itself, and that you find that people go back over the past, like emotionally and things like that, and start talking about that sort of stuff, researching.
Absolutely, because I mean, it's how big a picture is our past history. It's massive, and it's like every impact, and it's not about blaming parents. It's about everything that's happened in our life as a cause and effect. And if we're being in a situation where it's been destructive, if we've learned that love doesn't equal love equals a lot of other things that are not healthy, it's about like allowing yourself to go back through those stories and just release the impact. And that's a different way of prescribing. It's based on releasing emotional trauma. And who doesn't have some emotional trauma in their background?
Certainly with psychics and people who are sensitive, and there's a lot of very sensitive people who watch and listen to the show, like they're opening up empathically, opening up spiritually, and, having all sorts of kundalini stuff going on as well with quite a few of them, and opening up their psychic awareness. And so a lot of that old stuff reverberates through the energy bodies. And it's like when we talk about family DNA memory as well, where people have a memory of something that hasn't happened to them, but it actually happened to a far-off, distant relative ancestor. Does this homeopathic stuff sort of work through some of that as well, like on that cellular memory from,
ancestral timeline, and work out what is present in that person's life then. And then if it's like a abuse coming from a male or a female, then you prescribe remedies that work around releasing that impact on that person, supporting the heart, supporting the thymus gland, supporting the limbic brain. Those are all those places where those emotions are stored. And if we can, use the analogy like our life is like a CD, for those who remember what CDs are, they get scratched. Yeah. This is about reprocessing those scratches to smooth them out, so we don't hit one and walk backwards.
Yeah.
We all have parts of within our emotional bodies, mental bodies, where we have a baseline that we just constantly go back to, because that, even though it's not exactly therapeutically good for us, it's a place that we know. So we will just revert back when we're under stress. So this is about allowing yourself to release that and move forward. It's one step at a time. And, if we're invested, there's always an aspect of ourselves that's invested. It's about releasing that investment.
Yep.
So if you threw out a ball of string over your life, it's not going to wind back really that quickly, but it will rewind back. And as you reclaim aspects of yourself, that also, you're a golden example of how far you've moved in such a short period of time. Because it's, you're willing, you have followed everything, you've done inner work is what we've been working with, and you can see the results. You just shine.
Thank you. It's been a very interesting journey, and I think that I wanted to share that with our viewers because it has been a lot of change. It is kind of noticeable. I haven't mentioned anything about it for months now, but I started my weight loss journey properly again, last end of last April. And I find that I go back through, first it was last week, last month, last year, and then we're going back and back and back. And now we're back at that point where certainly in my 20s, if I was in a dress, men would harass me. If I was and I started wearing men's vests because back in the 90s, that was actually a fashion. And I started wearing men's vests because I felt good in it and I didn't quite know why. But when I had a men's vest on, I know that guys would go, oh, hang on. It's like looking and then, yeah, get out of her way. She's a bit, it's a bit like when you look at a tiger snake. It's like, well, oh no. So I didn't realise all of that. And it wasn't long after that I put on all this weight because I felt that intimidated by men. And it's only just recently that in the last week or so that I went out and bought a men's vest. And I just didn't remember all that. I just knew that I wanted to wear it. And I remember I wore it in the 90s and I loved it. And I put it on and I went, yeah. And sure enough, I went for a walk and instead of getting absolutely harangued like I did just a couple of days before that, just in a dress, it was actually this dress, suddenly I'm getting the hell out of my way. And as someone who survived rape, stalking, harassment, domestic abuse, violence and abuse in the home, even as a child, it's been a big journey of learning to love the self and be very self-appreciative, but also feel protected and safe and that you've got boundaries. And I found that working with the homeopathics has been very helpful with that, but also like you've been saying, to work with a journal. So if people have been sort of through those sorts of experiences, it's sort of bringing it back to that presence of mind and saying, yes, but I'm okay being me. That going back to the past and looking over things like vests and different mechanisms we use to create boundaries. And I think that where, working vibrationally and energetically, whether it's Reiki, whether it's homeopathics, can all lend itself, to that healing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's self-inquiry and releasing, and minute by minute by minute, you can do it. Yeah? It is a proof that you can do these things. The ability lies within you. Yeah, it's like you don't have to be locked in a box. You don't have to have a miserable life. It's just you do it step by step. Yeah, and there is support out there. There's support for people in any situation. It's just, sometimes it takes a bit longer to find, but once you get there, it's magic.
Now, we've got a link for you on the Facebook page for Soul Star Radio, Jacquelene. I've actually linked up that you're on today. So if people are looking for help with whether it's spiritual growth and development, removing and releasing entities, emotional debris, and health things going on in their lives, I've actually put the link up so people can find you. And so it's Heidi Rose Homeopathy, and you're based in Melbourne?
I'm based in Melbourne. And I do majority of all my work is done via Skype or Zoom because I also work interstate and overseas. And in that way, I can actually offer long consults because, as you know, homeopathy is about me listening to you. And that's how the remedies come from. It's not a computer program. It's me listening to you and then repertorising your language into a remedy. And also the way I was taught, which I'm very blessed and met the most amazing living channel of homeopathics that I've ever met, is her methodology, which is called aperture. So aperture takes, a snapshot of that person and explores it in depth and then moves on. And you have also met that Denista Devi Dasa. And you know exactly what I mean by when I say she's a walking channel.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I'm going to bring you back next time in the next few weeks. We're going to do live and chatting and take some calls. In the meantime, I'm going to thank you very much for coming on air, and thank you everyone for watching, listening, and we'll catch you same time next week.